I'm not 100% if I'm streaming, but I am recording. So, hey, I'm Stephanie Weaver. I'm a fine art artist and founder of the Positive Painters community. And so today, what I decided to do is kind of share a little bit with you and actually my video creations for my courses. And because what I found is, when I first started painting back like 20 years ago, we didn't have YouTube. And if we did, I can tell you I didn't know about it. And so finding art instruction, good art instruction, even today, is really hard. I take from other instructors, and man, I'm doing this, what's called like cherry picking. You kind of pick out what works really well for them, and then you make sure that you don't do what they're doing that doesn't work well for them. So when my courses, what I do is, I provide these instructional videos where I actually speed it up, because I can't tell you how boring it is to watch somebody paint and hope to get a nugget of information out of it. Because I purchased an artist tutorial just about a month ago, and I finally had time over the weekend to do it, and I was so disappointed because there was like no formulas. And I get that art and putting together your paint can be intuitive, but there is always a foundational logic to picking those colors, and they weren't covering that, and it was just a little bit frustrating. And why did they pick that color? And there are reasons to pick colors, and I try and make sure that I relay why I'm picking those colors, because they're transparent, and why I'm using this medium versus another medium, and they weren't really doing that. So it was entirely frustrating, which is why I have my videos the way they are. So I speed up the actual video course process, and when I actually have something of value to say, I'll pause it, so to speak. I'll slow it down to normal speed and talk about what I'm doing here, why I'm doing it, and what I'm thinking here. And so during today's little live session, I decided I'm going to try and do that a little bit live, but it will be the full, I'm not speeding it up because, it's live. And so I decided to kind of come on here and work on what's our winter project. So in Positive Painters, every month we have an art motivation, a monthly art motivation. And in January, our monthly art motivation is to create a winter scene. And then the Positive Painters, I encourage all mediums. I'm an oil painter. I also dabble in watercolor. I also draw. Do colored pencil. I do all the things, but I just focus on oil because that's what I love. And that doesn't mean that I expect you to paint this, create a winter scene in the Positive Painters. I expect you to maybe go out and photograph, a winter scene. I mean, those icicles dripping with water, that's gorgeous scene. That's winter. That's artwork. It's your eye and how you perceive the world through your lens, so to speak. So, it could be winter project is oil, watercolor, graphite. We've got surface designers in the Positive Painters. So whatever speaks to you and your medium, the point of the monthly art motivation is to provide some sort of motivation and get that spark of creative energy going on in your mind. And then also by seeing other people's artwork, that's also inspiring you to try something different, try something new, and maybe even see that imagery differently. So it's just an all-around just fabulous thing to do. And then next month we've got something a little bit different. We're going to do Rococo is our motivation. So the Rococo style of painting or imagery creation is I tell you, that one's going to be a challenge. So stay tuned for next month. If you have ideas for a Rococo style of imagery, please post some notes in the comments, because I am, the Positive Painters, one of the members of Positive Painters, it was their idea to do it. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. And so we made that, and I'm just sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? But I'll figure it out. And maybe you guys can give me some ideas too. And if you have imagery that looks like it might fit with the Rococo style, please give me a link. Okay, so you might get your photograph or your idea painted. So okay, so my intention for today, we are on week 3 of painting this, and when I say week 3, what I'm really talking about is I've been painting on this for a total duration of 3 weeks, but level of effort has only been about 6 hours. So so what I do, my approach is I layer upon layer, and it's getting to that point right now where I get to go and start adding a lot of details. And so it kind of looks like there's a little bit of details, but these are right now all the kind of the shadow leaves that kind of happen in the background, the shadow areas, and then I'm going to build forward. So with my landscapes, I start in the background and then I build forward as though I'm backing out of the forest, so to speak. And that way it just gets more detail, it's less work, because if I were to put in all the detail up front here, then I gotta go and go, oh, let's just fix this little scene back in here. And it's just better use of your time and your energy if you can mentally shift to where you're backing out of the scene to start and then go back into the scene and build it back up. So it's kind of a different way of thinking. So yeah, I'm gonna work us on the details today. I don't anticipate fully completing today, because here's the thing about paintings. I can look at this for a couple days and find things that I want to resolve or make better or push further. And so those are things that I'm going to wait to declare I'm finished. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm pretty much going to stop talking for quite a bit, and I will say something occasionally of what I'm thinking and why I'm thinking it, and what colors I'm grabbing and so on. I'm going to put on some music in my little earbud thingies, and I would encourage you to also do that. Just kind of, if you're painting with me, if you are creating something in your studio, just kind of have me on in the background and go, oh, and then whenever I actually say something profound, you can go, oh, that's a good idea. Or feel free to, comment or whatever. I may not respond immediately to the comments because I'm going to actually really try and bring myself into the painting and focus on it. So I said I'm going to put on some music. I'll say something occasionally. I can't play music for you because YouTube does not like that because copyright infringements, which I totally get. I'm fine with it. So yeah, you put on something nice, and I'm gonna try and get into this. Okay. So, oh yeah. So we've got some upcoming events up over there. Check those out. The Positive Painters community, it starts at $4.95 a month, which is less than a cup of coffee. You get these monthly motivations. You get to come to the the monthly members only Q&A where you can ask any questions. We've had some great questions about Photoshop. I think we've got coming up something about website. We're going to review somebody's website and kind of critique it a little bit. Very kindly critique. And what other questions other people might have. We've got a large resource of artists who have been there, done that. So it's a great place to go for members only. And then next month we also have a lady who is a lawyer for creatives. She's going to come in and talk to us about 5 must-do legal tasks for new businesses. So if you're considering moving to professional art business, you definitely want to come to that. And even if you are a professional art business, I would encourage you to come to that because there might be something you're missing and you don't want to get in trouble. So come check that out. You can register on my website. The URL's up here, stephanieweaverartist.com/online-event. And check out all the other events. Okay, now I'm going to stop talking. Okay, hit the wrong button. There we go. Okay, so we got the painting scene up there. All right, and I'm actually playing a Nordic soundtrack because, you know, we're painting a winter scene. Kind of might as well. Gets a little intense on it sometimes too. Gets a little weird too. Okay, here we go. Alright, what I'm thinking is, what colors do I need in addition to what I have? And I think I'm going to make a lighter blue to kind of go in here. Right now this is your purple. And I'm going to start building these trees forward. Yeah. Alright, I gotta stop that soundtrack. It's like screaming in my ear. Okay, can't think. Okay. Alright, so I need to darken up some of these branches, add in a little bit darker branches. I need to add in some of the lights that are coming onto these trees. Definitely need a lot more branches, but I'm gonna leave all these nice little shadow branches in here and build some new ones on top of them. All right, enough talking. I'm getting out some Neo Magilp, and this is for glazing. And so when I start building up layer upon layer, I like to use a glazing medium so that the previous layers kind of come shining through as well. And plus it just kind of gives it a nice sheen that I like, and it makes the paint move well, and it helps it dry a little bit faster. So it's an all around great medium. It's the Neo Magilp by Gamblin. Love this stuff. Okay, and I just put a little dollop of it over here. Alright, I'm going to make a big pile. I'm using cobalt blue, which is a warmer blue. And the palette that I have is like my standard palette that I use up here. These colors are just extra from another project I was working on. So if I look at that in comparison, that's a nice light shade blue. And what I want to do is kind of nudge in some other colors so it kind of gives a bit of a color variance. Alright, so I got my lighter, and I'm going to make a dark for the tree limbs. So I'm going to use some ultramarine blue, and I'm just going to put it in this pile over here. Some sap green and alizarin crimson. That makes a really nice, dark, rich, almost black color. But when you look at it on a little panel like this, you can mess with the, see what color it is, see how it leans towards the purple. So that kind of gives it a little bit different color variation than if I were just to go straight up black. So what I'm doing now is making more of a warmer dark. I just added some cadmium orange to it. So cadmium orange, alizarin crimson, and ultramarine blue. And that's going to become the sunshine shade. Say that 10 times fast. Sunshine shade that goes on the other side of the dark tree. Very subtle difference, but it makes a big difference in the painting. Okay. Okay, that's still workable. All right, right now I'm feeling pretty tight, like not like I can loosen up. So you know how like you're supposed to be back here on the paintbrush and stuff. Right now I want to be in here because mentally that's where I'm at. So I'm going to start in some big areas that I'm not going to be so worried about getting perfect, and work in it and come back. That's the approach I'm going to take. All right, and I'm going to sit down. Like I said, I'm just going to kind of, wrong brush, nudge in some other colors. What I'm thinking with the ultramarine blue is it's a cooler color, and I'm going to start back here in the back. Just kind of using a little bit of a shaky hand to define where the shadows are along the path. I'm just going to add a little bit of green because I wanted some color variance there. And frankly, that's some of the color that I see. Everybody sees color just a little bit differently. Yes, I really haven't grabbed any medium yet. I haven't needed it. And these are strokes. I paint pretty thinly. I didn't finish my previous thought, but I paint pretty thinly, so paint tends to dry fast for me. And while I'm kind of playing in that area, I'm going to flip to the light, because where there's dark, there's light. But this cobalt blue, this is a warmer blue. I'm still in the shadow side of this painting, so I'm going to add a little bit of the ultramarine blue. Might be going too light. Alright, let's see how this flies. What I'm doing is just kind of putting up a little bit right next to the dark. A little bit more light. I'm putting a more of a purple shadow on this side. What I'm doing is I'm looking also up in my monitor up here because I can see it from a distance instead of having to get up and walk away from my easel all the time. Actually, there is a color I'd like to introduce into this. I'm going to grab some cobalt teal. This cobalt teal I'm going to use on the left side, and a little goes a long way with this because I don't plan to use a lot. This is color that most everybody that I know that gets into oil painting gets because it's just so pretty. I'm going to grab a little bit Neil McGilp in it and make it move a little easier. Whenever you introduce a new color, you gotta touch it a couple other places. Just make sure that it balances. And if you're wondering what this little wavy thing is that I'm doing, I'm actually kind of taking some tentative kind of brush strokes in my mind of what I want to see happen and where I want to touch, and then effectively gently lower it down into the scene. I've got some of the sunshine mix left over from last time, so I'm just going to add a little bit of burnt sienna to that and then start giving some indication of the foliage that's over here. Add a little bit of sap green to that. I'm kind of deviating a little bit from image. Just make sure that I build up the dark around there so you can see the snow that's going to be up in here. Get a little bit more sap grain to that. Okay. Alright, so one of the things I'm thinking right now is, how do I want to approach the trees? Do I want to go dark first or light first? And the way that everybody, well, there's really not a wrong or reason. What I'm trying to think of is what would be the most efficient use of my time. Because I do have to stop before 10 o'clock. And so what I'm thinking is I'm going to go light first on the trees and then build in the dark branches and the trunks. The reason for that is with the light, if I do the dark first, it's going to pick up some of the if I do the dark first, when I add the light, it's going to pick up some of the dark. And I want my light to be purer than my dark, because I can always go back in and add a little bit more dark in very specific areas. So this way it'll give a more natural look in my mind. So that's what I'm going to do first, is I'm going to do the light part of the trees, and then I'll come back and do the trunks. Okay, so I'd already created some of that pile here, which was the cobalt blue and titanium white. And I might actually go in some of the cobalt teal too here in a minute. So I'm just lightly touching where I think the light would be hitting the trees. And I might alternate. That one's coming alive. I actually see some yellow green in the back trees. So I might grab a little bit of my yellow and try to think what else I see. Maybe a little bit of this yellow ochre. With the white. notice I'm kind of going into from dark into the light. And it's just kind of helping bring the paint forward so it gives a nice subtle transition from dark to light, because everything you were actually painting here is three-dimensional, so you got to think about light, light, medium, dark, light, medium, dark. And so that way I want to make sure that these leaves and these branches kind of move into each other. And I'm not so concerned about creating every single leaf. All I'm doing is just tapping my brush, giving the illusion of an actual full leaf. And then the stuff that's behind it, because I'm not covering up everything, is the shadow leaves and the other kind of complexities that are going on behind that branch. And I'm going to overlap some just to make sure that there's, like right now I see 1, 2, 3. I don't like that. In nature, I think there's like a lot of beautiful chaos, and so there shouldn't be order and structure like what I just did. I'm getting happy with this right now. Yeah. And I'm loosening up. And create some dull ones. Kind of dull and dark. Darker. I'm going to make it a little bit of brown. Kind of placing some of that around the lighter areas will make the lighter areas even pop a little bit more. And I want some red back in there. There we go. Let's grab some cobalt teal and ultramarine blue. Touch of alizarin crimson. Too much of a touch. There we go. Okay. There we go. Just looking for a darker, kind of cooler blue snow. So that mix was ultramarine blue, cobalt teal, touch of alizarin crimson, and white. And that got me a nice, cool blue. like this little splash of red kind of coming through here. Just light that up just a little bit more. So with some of these tentative strokes where I'm kind of like figuring things out, I'm looking at the reference photo and kind of where it is on my panel. And while I'm not concerned about getting it photo realistic, it does help me identify, creating a realistic scene and making sure the trees like make sense. And I'm alternating between the light and the dark of the tree darks. And notice how I don't have like one big swoop of a tree branch, because all these other tree branches are blocking your complete view of an entire tree. So you don't need the entire tree, just the indication of one. got some of those in, I'm also going to go back over and kind of push some of them back again. See, ultramarine blue, sap green, and cobalt teal, and a little bit of alizarin crimson to make a nice dark purple blue. One thing I think I really needs is I would love to see some more of the yellow highlights on some of these tree branches, and I'm going to get to that probably in the next setting with this painting, because I like the blues that are in it. I think it gives a nice, it'll give it a nice structure of light to dark. So I'm going to keep building the blues and purples, and then next iteration I'm going to add in some of those yellows. Just kind of looking at it from a distance. Okay, so today so far I've worked on a little bit of this, the middle ground, and the left side. I'm just going to try and see what I can do with a little bit of yellow. Just kind of scumble some of it on. to come through. I am liking that. This side over here is dead. We haven't touched anything on this side, but I'm gonna keep playing on this side because I'm really enjoying seeing this come to life. Too much. I don't wipe that away first. So the advantage, one of the advantages of painting the way I paint, which is waiting until it's dry, layer upon layer. You get to erase. So using some of your Gamsol and a clean dry brush, you'll wipe away marks. Just adding a little bit of this dark purple that we created. Dark, warm purple. And give some indication of where some slats are. Remembering as they get closer to us, the further apart the slats are going to be in appearance. Just getting more into shadow as it comes closer to us. So I'm going to use the darker. It's like the sun is filtering through and hitting onto the railing. Just kind of giving little pops of light. think I might carry some of that down. Oh, using lead white, don't do that. I'm not using lead white, so I'm not on this. Okay, I think that's probably all I'm gonna have time. Yep, gotta go. So, you guys, if you like this, go ahead and follow, subscribe, all of that. Also, be sure to check out StephanieWeaverArtist.com. Come to the upcoming events and check us out. So, I hope you enjoyed today's little painting. This is a winter scene that, of course, is coming out on Positive Painters. First 2 weeks are out. Naturally, I'm not done. So, I'm making this as we go. You're welcome to go ahead and start painting along with me. Positive Painter Light members get in this course for this month, and then Positive Painter Pros get it from this point forward. So as long as you remember. All right, so until next time, thanks for joining me this morning. Stay safe, happy and healthy, and happy painting.